So, you've decided to sign up for a crisis committee and have no idea what the heck you're doing. Not to worry, there's tons of information out there to help you on your journey. Wait, scratch that. Much to worry. There's way too much information out there. Luckily, this web series is here to save the day. Over the next 5 episodes, we will be covering topics like getting your character and discovering their potential, the differences between backroom and frontroom, and how to effectively utilize backroom in a crisis committee. Before we get into the video, I want to mention that this web series will not immediately make you an award-devouring scary monster of a power delegate, but it will give you the foundation you can build upon through experience. By watching this web series, my promise is that you'll know the basic differences between Crisis MUN and GA MUN, as well as how to utilize those differences in committee. Now, let's get started. The effective difference between Crisis and GA MUN is the element of surprise! No, really. Crisis MUN is supposed to be real time. It's a committee where you're addressing an event that's ongoing, and as you act, you get updates on the situation. In GA, you're used to debating a topic and writing a resolution. Crisis is similar in that you are debating and attempting to resolve an issue, though the issue evolves with the committee. Crisis also may not have the traditional countries. Instead, you might be representing an actual person, such as President Bush during the 2008 stock market crash. I mentioned crises evolve, though I didn't really expand on that. What I meant was, crisis committees start with an initial crisis. For this example, we'll stick with the 2008 stock market crash. The stock market crash would be your initial, sometimes referred to as trunk, crisis. This will be introduced to the room through a crisis update, which is usually in the form of a news broadcast or debrief talking about the situation at hand. This crisis update should give you a problem to address, and it's your committee's job to solve it. You'll go through moderated and unmoderated caucuses to build a special type of resolution, a directive. Directives don't have clauses in the traditional sense. They usually have bullet points addressing what the committee will do. Unlike GA MUN, you can also pool resources from sponsoring delegates in the directive. The directive should address the problem from the crisis update. In the meantime, you can also write to people outside the committee through backroom notes. In our stock market example, if President Bush was overwhelmed and wanted to call his mom for emotional support, he could do that through backroom notes. Now, in a real crisis committee, that would be very unlikely. However, backroom notes can help the delegate accumulate resources and information on other delegates, all in private. Both backroom notes and directives contribute significantly to getting the next crisis update, which usually happens a little after passing a directive on the previous crisis update. The crisis update can introduce a new problem caused by a past directive, or stir up drama in the committee by releasing President Bush's embarrassing phone call. Uh-oh. The obvious goal of our 2008 stock market crash crisis committee for President Bush would be for him to work with his committee to bring the world back to order. However, if you want an award, you have to do more than that. Let's make President Bush want to use the stock market crash to conquer Canada. Now he's actually interesting. President Bush will now not only have to solve the crisis at hand, but he might have to slip in something to help him steal Canadian territory in a directive passed in committee. He might also want to write to Canadian military leaders and promise them treasures. Overall, Crisis is a fast-paced, rapidly evolving committee dealing with an issue as it happens. Stay tuned to learn the intricacies of what exactly Crisis can be.